Hi, it's Dr. Claire Ashley here. I am a portfolio career GP. I have suffered with stress, anxiety and burnout, and my mission now is to champion the mental wellness and mental health of all healthcare professionals. When I developed burnout, one of the things I did was to leave the job that was causing me that stress. I then went on to develop a portfolio career. Today I want to talk to you about what a portfolio career is and what its benefits are and what its disadvantages are. So when I burnt out, I was working in a salary GP post. So I was working in a single surgery. I was working very long days, quite often kind of 10, 12-hour days. I had my own list of patients and I was effectively on call for them every day. And then what happened was I had some stresses at home and some other things going on. Normally I'm very resilient and normally I can just deal with these sorts of things. However, the combination of everything together meant that I kind of, the wheels kind of fell off basically. And I developed stress and anxiety. I came to the realization that I couldn't get better staying in that job, so I left. And what I did was I created a portfolio career to help maintain resilience. I have to say, creating a portfolio career has been brilliant for me, and I'll come on to why in a bit. So firstly, what is a portfolio career? So a portfolio career is where you don't have one job or one employer, you have lots of little jobs. So you effectively have a portfolio of jobs. So my portfolio currently contains working from home as a private GP. I'm also an NHS GP. I work in a surgery in a small salaried job. I'm a lead GP for health inequalities in my area. Also an out of hours and urgent care GP. And I also own my own business doing medical grade skincare and medical aesthetic procedures such as Botox and filler. Although at the moment, obviously with lockdown, I'm not actually doing that. I also offer coaching and mentoring for healthcare professionals. So as you can see, I do lots of little jobs. So the private work, I do 3 sessions a week, so that's 12 hours. In my salary job, I do 2 sessions a week, so that's 8 hours. In my medical aesthetics, I do 2 sessions a week, so that's 8 hours. In my coaching and mentoring, I just do it as and when. Out of hours is very variable. I think I'm indemnified to do 4 sessions a week, which is 16 hours. 8 sessions is 16 hours, but I don't do that because I just pick up the work as and when I need the money, or for instance during lockdown, if one of my businesses I'm not able to do, then I'll pick up the extra hours with out of hours. I have to say that creating this portfolio career is one of the best things that I've ever done. It has kept me resilient during the worst of COVID, and I'll explain why. Here are the advantages to having a portfolio career. Number 1, if it is stressful in one job, it doesn't matter because you're only doing it for a day or 2 days and then you're moving on to the next. And so I find like I'm able to manage my stress a lot better because it's not forever, it's not permanent, it's not always going to be there. And just psychologically, it's made a big difference to me. For me, the biggest advantage of a portfolio career is the autonomy it gives me. So I'm in complete control of my career, my working patterns. Psychologically, this has made a big difference to how I perceive my career and how I manage the stresses within it. Having a portfolio career is never dull. You're always doing something new. You're always in a different place, a different location. I get bored easily, so I appreciate having new challenges. One of the things that's been fantastic for me is starting up my own business, both with the coaching and the mentoring and with my medical aesthetics business, because I'm having to learn new skills. It's keeping me fresh, it's keeping me interested. What I also love about having a portfolio career is the flexibility. So my private work, I'm on an annualised contract, but I can pick and choose as and when I do the shifts. So if my husband is working away, for instance, then I can fit my shifts around my children. This was a huge source of stress in my salary job, the one that I quit. The out of hours as well. When the kids are in school and it's normal times, I'm not a fan of working a lot of weekends. However, we're in lockdown now, we're doing a lot of homeschooling, doesn't really matter. So I love having the flexibility to pick up shifts at the weekends or in the evenings if I want to. But there's no pressure, I don't have to if I don't want to. At the moment, I'm choosing to kind of ease off on doing out of hours. It's because I'm finding working in the pandemic quite stressful at the moment. So I can just ease back on that and look after myself. That's amazing. What I've also loved about setting up my own business is that I work for myself. Now I have very high standards. This is a good thing and a bad thing, I think. And I'm not answering to anyone bar myself. I've come to discover in my work that I don't really like working for anyone else. I like being my own boss, and my portfolio career has allowed me to explore that aspect of my personality that really enjoys working for myself and building my own thing. One of the other advantages about a portfolio career is that if you get bored or if you're not enjoying one of the jobs, you can leave it. I have multiple sources of income. It doesn't matter if I leave one of my jobs because I'll pick something else up. And the other thing is, if I start to develop an interest in something else, so let's say I decide that I want to do a course in minor surgery and try to start offering minor surgery, I can do that. I'm not tied to anything. I'm not tied to anyone else's obligations or expectations. Moving on to some of the disadvantages then, because there are disadvantages. The main one I find is that I have to be exceptionally organised. So I have 2 calendars, 2 diaries. I have one on my phone that I share with my husband, and I have a paper diary as well. I find it quite hard to keep up with correspondence. So I've got separate email addresses for every job that I do. Lots of different WhatsApp groups. It's very chaotic, all the communication side of things. Things like organising holidays, you have to apply for annual leave from every job or arrange your shifts so that you've got that time off. So you have to be on it. There's also a lot of paperwork if you are a portfolio career GP. So things like your pension forms. If you don't have the pleasure, then be grateful because they're an absolute nightmare. And dealing with PSCE is just like pulling teeth. You also really need to be on top of it in terms of finances because whilst I have a guaranteed income from my salary job at the moment and my private job, the other stuff is kind of ad hoc and it's not guaranteed. So you really have to be on top of it with finances. I highly recommend getting an accountant if you are not very good with your money. At the moment, I use QuickBooks. That's how I stay on top of things, and it's working really well for me at the moment. I suppose one of the other disadvantages of having a portfolio career is that when you're at work and you do feel like you're part of a team, you're not there all the time. And so you miss out on that opportunity to build relationships, perhaps. If you work in the same place continuously, then you will build those relationships a lot easier. I think that is a big disadvantage to having a portfolio career. One of the other disadvantages, I guess, is that there are some jobs in healthcare that are more amenable to creating a portfolio career. So for instance, being a GP is perfect because we have autonomy, we have lots of different options in terms of how we kind of manage our working lives. But if you're, say, a hospital doctor, it's harder to do that. It's very difficult if you're working, nights, weekends, evenings, if you're working on a rota, if you're a consultant and you're kind of fixed to a certain working pattern, very difficult to achieve this, but it is possible. Anyway, that was a whistle-stop tour of the pros and cons of having a portfolio career. I have to say it is one of the best decisions I have ever made in my medical career, and I'm extremely pleased that I've done it. I hope that has been helpful for you. If you've got any questions about it, then feel free to put them in the comments. I also run mentoring and coaching sessions, and if you're interested, please have a look at my website, www.drclaireashley.com. If you've liked this video, please hit like and subscribe.